Hello and welcome back to the student series. Today I'm going to be shaping the plinth profile around the box. I'm thinking that I'm going to use a sapwood border for the base of this, just so that we've got a little bit of matching colour going on between the lid and the bottom of it. But that means trying to cut this up to size first. So let's get to it. Right, so that took a long time, but I've now actually got these to size, and now it's actually time to cut in those rebates. So I've just finished marking out what I'm going to be cutting. Saw that coming a mile away. It might have done. Yeah, use the marking gauge on this. Now it's time to use the shoulder plane. I could use the rebate plane. That was more weight than I expected. Could use the rebate plane, but I'm not, because I've used the shoulder plane already, and I feel like that's going to be a little bit easier. Get out of my way. Get. Tell you what, this is a challenge, because as it's so slim, it flexes in the middle.
Yeah, so you're going to need to get a supporting bit behind it, so you're going to need to get something to sort of push it from that side.
Oh, right. Okay. So something slimmer than these.
Yep.
Underneath.
Yep.
What? What? Oh, so that would be clamped down itself.
Doesn't need to be clamped down itself. It's just got to maybe be thinner than those two, so it can fit in there.
Yeah.
And touch the back of that and touch the back of that.
Right. Okay.
So a bit of plywood that's thinner than that.
Yeah.
Cut it to roughly whatever that distance is, basically 100 mil.
I think I was going to be doing more cutting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Bandsaw, set the fence to 100 mil. Yeah. Done. Just like that. Yeah.
Oh, where's my fingers gone?
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Something like that.
Okay.
Wing it.
So, okay, and can you explain to me why?
Why? So it stops it flexing.
So it's going to stop it flexing because the pressure is equalised? Like, how is it? Because if it's not clamped down itself, if that piece of plywood in the middle is just...
It won't have the strength to push both that one and that far one back.
Right.
I imagine.
I see.
That's why I said wing it.
These clamps, man. These clamps.
Yeah.
Trash. rebar plane. Not doing it anymore. After all that, I was just able to pull it loose. So I don't know what was up with that. Probably the angles of I don't know. That wasn't intentional. They just fell.
Yeah?
Yes.
You're right.
No.
Yeah.
Shut up. Your stupid 100 mil of crap or whatever it was.
Why did it not work?
Because it didn't. I'm not going to bother with your middle bit. Right. Had a bit of a minor meltdown there.
Minor?
That was minor. It could have got a lot worse. Thank you very much. But Matt made the rather lovely suggestion of cutting these down to size first and then using the shoulder plane on them, which makes, sadly, a lot of sense. So, I've been having some difficulties with this part. I've reduced the size of a plinth so that stuff didn't move. I went to the other side of the bench. I used the clamps on one side. That meant I couldn't use the shoulder plane properly. Then I had to sharpen the shoulder plane, and then the shoulder plane was always a pain because every time I tightened it, it shifted, but then it didn't seem to be level anyway every single time. The edges seemed to get round, and then I thought, well, I'm just going to persevere, and the whole thing moved anyway.
Basically, he's been a well grumpy sod. It's been hilarious.
So I've moved around here at the suggestion of Matt. I used a heavy duty clamp and tightened that to so much extent that I can move this end and the whole thing doesn't go anywhere. So I'm going to try and deal with it here.
You going to clamp the other end? Clamp the other end. Pivot points, Rob. Pivot points.
I don't care anymore. I cut myself on the blooming rasp. I put my hand just here to start this video, and I went through a metal shaving of yours, and that got stuck in my hand. Fine. Other than the fact I hate this.
Why don't you use one of the clamps on the bench?
No! No! They just don't do what I want them to do. Who designs
Maybe you
things?
should start buying your own clamps.
Maybe I will. I think they'll be better than these. Ah! Oh, finally. Oh, for Pete's sake, it's not... Oh, it doesn't fit. Of course, why didn't I do it upside down? No, it doesn't fit.
What do you mean it doesn't fit?
It doesn't fit. It's too long.
Oh, was it at the bottom?
Yeah, but I hadn't noticed that, had I?
No, probably not. Maybe you should use one of the light duty ones.
No!
What about one of the F clamps?
What's an F clamp?
One of the clamps that looks like an F.
Oh, the G clamp.
No, because it doesn't look like a G.
It's closer to a G.
You're clever.
Oh, no, it's going upside down. Shut up! This is so annoying. No, it's not! It doesn't tighten! They never do! Every single... Oh no, it's too tight and I've got to undo it all the way. Every single time.
What you do, if you push it in like that, lower it, tighten it.
What do you mean by lower it? What was that? Oh, you just lower it, you just...
So to open it, you pull it, you got to pull it sort of out.
I don't believe that. Every single time it hasn't worked. It just... It changes.
No, it doesn't. Look.
It does.
Bring it down.
It does. These clamps are trash because you put them up and then it doesn't hold on the other ones. This one holds because I now know which ones are good and which ones are bad.
It's that bit you're looking at. So it's hanging like that if you want to bring it down, and then you need to be able to lift it up. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Get away now. It's one of those days. It is one of those days. Right, so finally progress has been made. I've got the rebates cut all the way through. I just need to clean up the horizontal edges and that should be that. Fingers crossed. Right, today is a new day. I've got my progress from yesterday. It's not too bad, to be fair, but I know that the next episode is going to be actually making the miters for the plinth. And what I've been told is if the edges of a plinth aren't equal all the way around, I'm going to have some serious issues. And when I was using the shoulder plane to clean up those horizontal edges, I didn't really work up to a line. I just cleaned it up and didn't check anything. So now I think what I'm going to have to do is get a marking gauge, find the narrowest part of any one of these parts of a plinth and shave down the rest of them to match that so it's all equal all the way around. Got a wee bit of an issue. I've scored a marking gauge line and the edges have ended up at the marking gauge line.
Yep.
Middle hasn't.
Yep.
And I can't scoop it out. Like I've tried the middle bit, that's not working, which would normally suggest that one side is higher, so you can't get to the centre. But then if I was to remove a side, I've already got to the line.
Because it's bowed, look.
Oh.
Have you checked it against the side of the box? Might be right. Because now you've got down to the line on the two edges, which are going to be your reference points. You might be
good
right.
point. It wouldn't matter. Yeah, as long as it
Might not be too bad. So I am checking. The plinth is kind of rocking a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
So that is a little bit out.
Right, okay.
So you might just be able to do it, mind you. Is that going to be enough to throw it out? Not sure. That's resting on
Because basically I was using the shoulder plane on it, getting to that marking gauge line that I just made, and I couldn't get to the centre of it to remove the marking gauge line. I got to the edges, which is apparently ideal, of course, for the miter joint that's going to happen later. But I couldn't get to that centre bit, so we're sort of trying to troubleshoot that.
Okay, so it looks like this might not be square. So kind of, the back wall is sort of sloping in a bit, kind of thing.
Sorry, what
so
part of it?
This wall here,
yeah,
instead of going down vertical, it's sloping in like that.
Right, okay.
Now you can't get in there with a shoulder plane, as you've said, so what I would be tempted to do is maybe just get a chisel from the top. Yeah.
Okay.
Chisel real quick. Let's get a wide one actually, get the widest.
Widest?
Yeah.
Holy moly.
So, to do this...
Do you like a mallet?
No, don't need a mallet. I reckon let's go to the vise.
Yesterday I'd finished the video. I wasn't gonna bother filming this bit, but no, it's a big deal.
Okay. So, firstly, we'll see if we can get in there with the shoulder plane and bring it back into square. Which it looks like you can. Let's see, so stop cutting there. So at the moment, this is the wall
yes.
that we're looking at here, and that's kind of sloping up like this.
Okay.
So if you can't get down into that back corner with the plane, you can just do it with a chisel. Won't look pretty, but it's all hidden. So just go in like that. Instead of not starting on the top, resting on it. Let's say it won't look pretty, but you won't see any of this. Mind you, it doesn't look too bad, does it?
Can't see, I'm looking for a screen.
Well, there we go then.
So arguably what you could be creating now is like a recess.
Where it's dipping back the other way?
Yeah.
Yes, in a way.
And then when it sort of glues together, that's all going to compress in anyway.
Yeah.
Obviously not ideal, but in this case...
It'll touch on the top corner and the bottom corner before it does in the middle. Like an undercut sort of thing.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. So get rid of all that fluff. Don't look too bad. Pop that on there. And then there you go, that closes up a lot better now. Could do with a little bit more perhaps.
Right, okay.
But...
So should I be testing all of them for that same
I reckon.
aspect, just in case?
Yeah, there's still, you see that's still rocking a bit.
Yeah.
There's still something to do on that. But basically it's just keep doing that without... Yeah, I can see bumps all over that, I haven't quite done enough. Basically keep going all the way along that wall.
Yeah.
And bring it back so it creates a 90 degree.
Yeah.
But never start on the front edge, always rest your chisel on top and then pare back from there.
Yeah, so that at least that front edge remains...
Yeah, I reckon if you were to get
even.
like a ruler or something in there, this isn't the best example, but you'll be able to see where it's hitting.
Yeah.
Get rid of those high points. But to be honest, just by looking at that, you can see there's a high point there, 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 there.
Yeah.
It's all over.
You didn't do a very good job.
No, rubbish.
At my plinth.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that.
No worries.
Nice little tip there.
So Rob has completed making the plinth profile, and we were just discussing the fact that it's good that he has finished it today, or that we're filming this outro today compared to yesterday, because he was a very stroppy man yesterday.
I was going to argue it, but no, I was. There was a point, I don't even know if I mentioned it in the video, but I was this close to throwing things. This close to throwing clamps, throwing this. I was thinking about snapping stuff. And by that point, thankfully I recognised the symptoms of that and just walked away and just took a break because I was furious at these.
So, what bit did you struggle with the most?
It's like it's the most frustrating thing to say. I struggled with clamping. I struggled with clamping the pieces down in such a way that they didn't move when I was using the shoulder plane. It felt like every option that I could come up with failed. I tried maybe 4, maybe 5 different variations on the theme. Just didn't work. And then of course typically I'm like, I can't ask Matt for help because he will give me a really simple answer that for some reason I just didn't think of. And of course, what did he do? Gave me a really simple answer I didn't even think of.
That I did.
Yeah, to be honest, I can't remember what it was now.
So, before you were clamping a piece of plywood on top of it like this.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough, but you were clamping it here and here, which then made it press on only the corners there, which then made it bow up, which meant that it wasn't really contacting it whatsoever.
No. The thing is, I knew that, but typical me, I was like, well, I'll try it. It seems fairly secure, and then it wasn't.
I learned something really interesting on an engineering course I went on recently. It's about work holding. And
okay.
So, like, a piece of material can move in the, let's say, the x-axis, the y-axis, and the z-axis. Z. You can also twist, tilt, and can do that. Got to work out which way. Yeah. So it's about limiting all of those 6 movements without compromising the access you have to that piece.
And the access was my biggest sticking point.
Yes, yeah. So to start with, you clamped it down, which sorts out your z-axis. Yeah. Then that was all you had. That was it. Because
to be honest,
it bridged over it because it was bending. So to an extent, that did stop this.
Yeah, I mean, it was capturing the edges.
Yeah, but your main culprit was that front to back movement, which is probably one of the most important, seeing as that is the one that you were referencing the plane off.
Yes,
that front to back. So what I did was, in fact, I didn't have much of a. I didn't change that too much, did I? We said about clamping something at the back, which would have stopped that, but to be honest, that didn't work.
No, I can't work out half of it. I mean, some of that was potentially the clamps I was using, but could have put down a bit more force. I think some of it was the clamps were providing pressure to one side, which then still lifted up the side that was on the workpiece, which then meant it was shifting around.
Yeah. But essentially, we made use of this in the end, the gap down the centre, didn't we?
Yeah. Every time I use it, I just think, I can't believe that I ever thought that it was a stupid thing to have a gap in the middle of a workbench.
Do you know what? I still think from time to time, what is the point of me having this? But actually, it gets me out of so many sticky situations because it means that you don't have to clamp stuff that side of the bench and work like this.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's exactly it. That helped out massively. The problem is, what happened then was I was able to put the piece of wood directly on the marking gauge line, which is perfect. Realistically, it's ideal.
Yeah.
However, due to struggling with the shoulder plane, it didn't always mean that it was cutting directly down and nice and straight, and you didn't have a straight edge, straight corner, which then meant that I was going to have to go in with a horizontal plane.
Yes.
But because I had already gone to the marking gauge line from above, I lost that line.
Yes, you did.
And I didn't think about that yesterday in my stress and my anger, and so I thought, oh, finally, I've got to the point I can clean it up, I can clean up these edges. And then I realised that they'd need to be equal for a mitre.
Yes.
So I had to re-marking gauge them out and redo it today.
Exactly.
But yeah, there's more steps to this than I realised.
Yeah, to be fair, you did uncover quite a good method with it for people who are struggling to use a rebate plane and a shoulder plane, which is you can use those 2 tools to hog out the majority of the material to within 1 millimetre or 0.5 millimetre of the line. And then just do the rest with the chisel. Put the chisel in the line, boop, 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 all the way along like that, and then just chip out the waste, because as long as it doesn't split away from the line on the top edge, or I mean, it's not as much of a problem on the bottom edge, but as long as it doesn't start trailing off and you're paying attention to grain direction, then doesn't matter if it looks all ragged in this inside corner, because that is going to be hidden by the box. As long as you've hit the marking gauge line bang on the top with a nice wide chisel, that's also a good solid option. Yeah,
I thought either that or, well, I mean, a little extra step you could have in between is when you actually do the original cut down, like you said, you leave yourself 1 mil, half a mil or so, and then get the shoulder plane as far as you can to that line to begin with. Yeah. And then you could use the chisel afterwards, because I felt like when I used the chisel, it did something weird to one of his long ones. It made it somehow slightly almost like rounded. I know that
Right.
doesn't make sense because it's a chisel, but for example, it doesn't matter which one it was, I tested the next one afterwards, and that was when I said, oh my god, that looks amazing, that worked really well. This is the rounded one, I've realised. I don't know if you can see. It's like, it's not as
Slightly?
like very slight. I cleaned it up.
Yeah.
I used the shoulder plane after doing the chisel just a couple of times, and I'll be honest, I might have just increased the blade a little bit to get to that middle bit, but I needed that more defined edge, because on that one, I was hoping I got it right. It's just cleaner,
right? Okay.
and that's one that I didn't use the chisel with.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's a thing, but that's what I did in order to fix it.
Interesting. Okay. It probably doesn't help that this one is bowed as well.
They're both bowed.
They're both bowed, are they?
Yeah, I still had to use the chisel, but I got the shoulder plane a lot further along the way first.
Right.
And I was just very careful.
However, saying that, this one is still slightly sloped up.
Is it still?
Ever so slightly.
How are you seeing that?
Look along there. If you can kind of see it, then...
wait, so am I seeing...
The bottom, that's going up.
Oh, of course, the bottom. Okay, I think, okay, I can see where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it's enough to clamp still.
Oh yeah, I mean you can close out the pressure of your hand, so it's fine.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
So yeah, that's the longest outro we've ever done. There's a lot to discuss just with these.
That is.
But
more progress will be made in the next video, or it will seem like more progress is being made.
Yeah.
It's an easy step, so.
Every time he said it's an easy step so far, it's gone downhill.
So I say it every single time now. Every single time.
Every time.
Good. Well, nice work on that. Nice work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching, guys. You can now move on to the next video, which you can do so by clicking the link below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe by pressing the big round button to the left-hand side of the video. We'll see you in the next one.
See you then.